Welcome to Web3 and Waffles, episode 1. We're reporting live from Brussels, ETHCC. We have waffles naturally. I think this is the national dish of Belgium.
No, fries, right?
I don't know. We can look that up later. But I have Gaylord here from ZK Hack, and you have elected for the pistachio.
Yeah, I did.
Which leaves me with the Oreo choice, which is, not bad. Not a bad look.
I hope you like it.
So yeah, let's before we get started, let's take a first taste of this waffle.
Okay. Does it taste like Web3?
Yeah, does it taste like Web3? Which you can debate on what that actually should taste like.
Is it cheating me something?
No.
That's alright.
That is good. I need some coffee with it, but
Yeah, we'll get one of that.
yeah. Okay. Well, ZK Hack, why don't you? I guess we'll start there.
Yeah, good stuff.
What exactly is it? I mean, for me, I see you do your hackathons, but
Yeah.
is it actually like what's the organization behind it? What's the team behind it? And what do you do for it?
So it's not only hackathon, so it's good to start with that. It's more general than that. It's really a hub for learning about ZK, onboarding people into ZK. So that's what it is. That includes hackathon, but it actually started as an online community.
Okay.
And yeah, it was 3 years ago. So I started working with ZK Hack like 1 year ago, but it started before that. And at the beginning, the plan was to do a hackathon. But
Yeah.
3 years ago, you could not do a ZK hackathon because the tooling was not there.
Ah, right. I thought it was like COVID or something, but I guess it's
Actually, that's why it started online.
yeah. Oh, right.
The
Got it.
online part, I think it's from COVID, but you know what? It makes sense with the type of people
Yeah.
that you have in the community. It's like just more convenient to meet on the Discord, and you know that's how it started. And hackathon is one of the many projects that we have, but we also do like video series production about educational content. That's something called ZK Whiteboard Sessions.
Okay.
So we did one 2 years ago, and we are actually producing a season 2 now. So
Nice.
keep your eyes open.
Yeah.
And more generally, getting people together to talk about ZK, discovering it. They're also experts, like if you have like tricky questions. There are a lot of hardcore cryptographers in the community as well.
Yeah. Sure.
So that's kind of the idea behind ZK Hack as a whole.
Yeah, and that's interesting. You talk about the tooling.
Mhm.
So do you feel like how mature has the tooling gone from when you first started, when you basically couldn't host a hackathon to now?
Yeah, it has evolved dramatically. I mean, ZK has been progressing like crazy. And so I actually, funny story, started to know ZK Hack by participating in the first hackathon that was organized. It was in Lisbon 15 months ago in April 2023, and I participated. We won a Hacker's Choice, so I was very proud. That was my first hackathon.
There you go. You got it. If you're gonna win, the wins.
That's how it gets you started.
Yeah. Get you started.
If you win, you stay.
Yeah. So everyone's a winner at hackathons. That's what you should learn.
Exactly. I mean, that's actually true. I believe it. So then I got the opportunity to work with the team, and then I helped organize ZK Hack Istanbul, which was in November last year during DevEx. We had ZK Hack Krakow 2 months ago,
Okay.
and we're having ZK Hack Montreal, our fourth hackathon next month.
Got it.
Yeah, next month on August 9th.
What's the logic between the cities that you pick? Because it's kind of spread out. Like, do you know there's actually like a ZK community there, or just cool places that you want to visit, or?
I would say a bit of both.
Yeah.
So our last in Krakow, it was kind of a standalone event. There was like Berlin happening the week after, so
Yeah.
Krakow
I
and Berlin
kind
are
of.
kind of close. Kind of.
Yeah, sure. You can take a train. It's Europe.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of the idea. For Montreal is a bit similar of some sort. There is a conference called SBC. So it used to be Stanford Blockchain Conference. Now it's Science because it's not in Stanford.
Oh, okay.
So some cryptographers actually going to this conference from 7th to 9th. And then we have our event again, New York, Montreal, kind of close-ish.
Yeah.
And we hope to have also people coming from that. But Montreal in the summer is a great city. Our founder, Anna Rose, she's also the founder of the Zero Knowledge podcast.
Yeah.
She's the founder of ZK Hack. And she's from Montreal, so it's also a special edition.
Okay, in your backyard edition. Yeah, I got it.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, Montreal is beautiful. I once took, just saying about how close it is from New York. I took a 12-hour train ride from New York to Montreal. That's how long it takes.
It's doable, right?
I mean, it's doable.
You could drive as well. It's like 6 hours.
Yeah, but the train, I mean, if you really are a train person,
Oh, you go.
I love trains.
Okay.
12-hour train ride is like a dream. So yeah, it was great. So I highly recommend it if you're going to ZK. If you're in New York, go to Montreal. 12 hours. It's like obviously your whole day gone. But
I didn't think of the train enthusiast, but I will explore that.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. And in terms of like I like this idea of like the tooling maturity.
Yeah.
Have you seen, or what have you seen from hackathons, the actual things being built, the
progress,
apps? Like what are they doing with the tools?
So typically when I participated, so 15 months ago, there was it was the beginning of ZK DSLs, so domain-specific languages, specifically done and built.
Everyone's got one.
So now you have many, and back then they were it was the beginning of them being usable. So I had hacked on one called Noir by Aztec.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have a few others, Aleo has something called Leo, and I mean you have many of them. But I would say that the next step and the thing that came on top of that is the ZK VM. So general purpose zero knowledge virtual machines.
Yeah.
But you're basically coding in Rust typically, but they created crates on libraries that make it verifiable. So you're doing ZK without noticing it. Okay. You just have to learn about the paradigm, and that's what proving, verifying what ZK is in general.
Yeah.
But you don't have this barrier to entry, learning new stuff to be able to do ZK. So that's for me a big new way to get people into ZK and actually playing with it without having to learn too many new stuff.
Okay, but I like this accessibility thing because I kind of relate this to machine learning in the early days, right?
Yeah.
There was TensorFlow. I mean, there obviously still is TensorFlow and PyTorch, but I think you kind of had to be a data scientist to kind of even to tap into that.
Yeah.
But as the tooling progressed, and obviously now to get access to AI, it's an API request. You don't even need to know anything about training models, fine-tuning, all of those things. And I think ZK is kind of going to that level of, okay, I don't need to be a cryptographer to do ZK.
Exactly. That's the big change. Yeah, before it was exactly that. If you wanted to do ZK, you had to manipulate polynomials or doing some crazy math.
Yeah.
Now it's not the case at all. I would say we're still behind. It's not API calls.
Oh, no.
But
soon.
The big difference.
Trademark soon.
Yes, soon. Let's say soon. It's not really a big settlement. But the difference is compared to AI is I would say, and it's good. It's much more open source actually. AI, yes, it's API code, but you don't exactly what's going on in the background. I would say for ZK, it's a much more open source community, and even the companies for profit.
Yeah.
They have to build kind of in public or at least open source a bunch of their libraries, because that's how you ensure the cryptographic security also of what you're building. That's how you get people to have their eyes on it. And it's by essence, you have to do so. And that's great because if you want to go through the simple routes, you can, using Rust, verify, even learning ZK DSL that are easier and easier to use. But if you want to get your hands more dirty, you can, because you have access to the math. So it's kind of a journey.
Yeah.
You can dig deeper and deeper and deeper as you go. And I think that's fascinating because ZK is magic and it's great to be able to do that.
Yeah. Do you find that with the DSLs though that are out there, that you kind of have to get locked into one ecosystem or one tool? Because if I learn Leo, for example, I mean I can't use it other than on Leo. So how do you kind of get around that for a community side or even making hackathons?
Yeah.
To get people excited about.
So for us at ZKHack, we're really chain and company agnostic. So we work with everyone.
Yeah.
And we want to encourage people to experiment. But I do agree to your point. I mean, yes, if you learn a ZK DSL, you're kind of working with one ecosystem, and that's the difference maybe also with ZK VMs, where you use Rust typically, or sometimes C++, and that makes it a bit more generalist in a way. At the same time, every ecosystem has its own specificities. So if you work with Aleo, if you work with Aztec, they have some angles they want to encourage as well. So for hackathons, I think there's a right place where you do experiment with these different. Maybe you feel the different vibes. It's all about vibes.
I'm learning more and more every time I come to these conferences. It's 98% vibes and 2%.
So that's where you try and you see if the vibe there's a vibe fit.
Yeah.
Yours, and hackathons are good for that. So typically, if you want to explore, maybe you come to a hackathon, you check the vibes, you try it, and if you like it, maybe in the future your project can get more engaged in that or that ecosystem. That's a good way to start.
Got it. And in terms of outside of this vibes, obviously, once you've gotten the vibe check, you want to learn something. what have you seen works really well for education in the ZK space, as well as like, okay, if I come to hackathon, I've never done ZK before.
Yeah.
How do I like start actually building something? How do I understand the use cases? Like, what have you seen works well, and what actually what doesn't really work well?
Nice, it's a very good question, and that's actually a problem we're working on and we're trying to solve. I would say that when you want to learn about ZK, finding like simple examples to explain what it is proving, what it is verifying, what is ZK in general, you actually have a bunch of these. Kind of easy to find. If you want to find uber complicated topics with like crazy cryptographers papers, research with like, technical breakthrough in cryptography, that's something you can find as well. You don't understand. The problem is what's in the middle. And that's what we're trying to solve for with this series ZK Whiteboard sessions. We're trying to have like experts, so the guys who wrote the super complicated papers, and to kind of, I was about to say dumb it down, it's a bit of a strong word, but trying to find the intermediary steps to really get from like, okay, I kind of understand the overview of ZK, but I want to get my hands dirty. How do I do that?
Yeah.
And progressively going there, it takes like professors to do that. So that's why we have like people like, I don't know, Dan Bonnet, he's like a famous Stanford professor.
Sure.
And people like that to come and be a professor and kind of wrapping that in a series. That way you don't have to look every time a small thing. You can watch it as a whole, and you have almost like a curriculum that makes sense. That's what we're trying to do.
Okay, got it. Like, I don't know if you've seen this, like, there's a subreddit, I think it's called like draw the owl or something, but it's a meme because you get instructions and they'll be like, oh, okay, draw the circle in step 1, draw the triangle in step 2, and then step 3 is like there's the owl.
That's exactly
yeah, right.
So that's what we have right now. We're trying to do the intermediary steps.
Yeah.
It's a journey. It takes time because it's not a new field because it started in the 80s or something, but the growth of ZK really, it was the past few years. And we're trying to fill the gap. That's our mission really.
Nice. Okay, well, I'm curious because I've been lately trying to dive into data around developer experience, education.
Yep.
And I'm curious, at your ZK Hack, are you like looking at the data in terms of like people who are participating, the submissions, even the length of submissions, the type of submissions? Like, are you looking at that as you go on, and like how to, make the better experience for devs?
Yeah, we are. It's again a very very good question because we noticed from the beginning that at our hackathon specifically, we do have like a bit of a more advanced and expert type of audience.
Yeah.
Basically, people who heard about ZK before. I mean, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But when you heard about
don't
ZK,
just accidentally Google ZK.
Exactly.
Maybe you fell asleep in the
it doesn't
keyboard.
come from
What the hell is this?
I know people see my shirt and actually,
There you go. Yeah.
That doesn't happen too much. So we do have like a more advanced, advanced skills type of audience, I would say, which is fine because again, usually you hear about ZK coming from the Web3 world. I kind of anticipate in the coming years that it will be less and less so because ZK can be used without Web3 actually. It's almost the opposite. So we'll come to that, I would say. And in terms of project submissions, you really typically have the two angles. So at the hackathon, we have either people coming from the cryptography angle, so that they're doing like applied cryptography. So it's a bit complicated to understand, but actually they have the knowledge to do so, and they want to benchmark it to implement a certain protocol. I mean, at our last hackathon, there's a paper called Stir Fry. It's Stir Fry.
Okay.
They're good with names.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
It was implemented in Rust, and their hackathon project was okay. We're going to implement it in Golang. So that's kind of the chewing glass type of project, I would say. And on the other side, you have the application developers. Typically people coming from Web3, and they want to create an app which has some ZK in it. And that's gaming, that's maybe some identity-related applications, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you have people a bit in the middle as well sometimes. So a good example of that was in Lisbon, actually, the one I was at. The second prize went to the team called ZK P2P.
Okay.
So their project was like using Venmo, wrapping it into a proof. So you receive a mail from Venmo that says, I've done the transfer.
Yeah.
You create a proof out of that, and then you can actually withdraw some USDC on-chain. So they were kind of bridging that using zero-knowledge proofs.
Nice.
And that's very good. It's always an example I give because these guys actually went and created a company out of that. And that's actually cool now.
Yeah.
The latest feature is actually using Revolut to do that.
Oh, nice. Okay. I love when people actually make a company after that.
As a hackathon organizer, you love this.
Yeah.
And the team is great.
And you always have that story of like, I knew like 2 years from now, you're like, do you know the ZK P2P?
There are other companies, but this example is good because it was really, as I said, the middle of the Venn diagram with you need the cryptography people to being able to apply, zero knowledge proof and use it properly. But it's an application at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They were able to have all the skills necessary to build that, and that's kind of again what you want to see happening in time.
Very nice. Well, I don't personally make predictions, but I always force people to make predictions.
I can do predictions. Just don't recall me. Oh.
Yeah. Well, like generally, from like developer tooling and like application development world, what do you see in the next? And you don't have to go like 5 years or anything, but like
yes.
Yeah. Next 3 years, six months to 3 years. I'll give you that gap.
Okay.
What do you see happening? Do you see more devs coming into the space that don't have any ZK knowledge and then they build something like ZK P2P? Or do you see more like depth of knowledge for the people who are already intermediate at least? Like where do you see the growth happening, both from a dev tooling and application development?
I mean, I'm a bit biased, but
give me your supervised
I'm very bullish. But I would say right now, the focus for the past year or so has been more on the infrastructure side. So it's getting there, and infrastructure includes as well the dev tooling. So you have companies basically trying to make ZK easier for developers. Again, ZK general purpose ZK VMs are also in that space, like giving access to ZK to everybody.
Yeah.
So that's going to grow as well. You have also companies specifically working on the dev tooling, almost making ZK easy to use without knowing about it. So it will go. It is growing right now. We have companies we're working with who are doing that. And in terms of application, I don't know why, but that's like Web3. It's always coming last.
Oh yeah.
But you have examples. You have people working on that. So I really feel like you need that killer feature, this iPhone moment. This ChatGPT
everyone's that's the new one. It's ChatGPT moment. Everyone's waiting for that.
I feel what makes me a bit sad in a way is I feel like you must have like some catastrophe to make that happen because ZK can be used for privacy speaking.
Yeah. No.
So if you have some catastrophe with data leaks and privacy issues with some centralized server that had data and it's been spread around the world, which happens.
Yeah, sure.
But if you have something even more dramatic that happens, maybe people will really start thinking, okay, how can we prevent that from happening?
Yeah.
And that's where ZK can. I mean, it's kind of the obvious answer to that. So you will have that maybe at the point where the tooling is ready and actually people can use, and maybe that will be the.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because it's like, I think that's like a very defensive look at it though, right? Like, okay, if something breaks, like people are right, if there's a catastrophe, then
I feel like that's
we will finally come into place.
But even if that doesn't happen, we'll see.
Yeah.
The tooling and the infrastructure is still getting ready because I mean ZK is not only about privacy, it's also about scaling blockchains in general. Sure. And I mean that's how also money was poured into research, and that's how ZK has been doing so much progress in the past few years. So that will continue that way. It's like a train. You like trains? The train.
Yeah.
The train.
12-hour trains. How long is that train?
The train. Probably longer. The train, is gone. It's you can't stop it. It's too heavy. So it will continue that way for the few years to come. That's for sure.
Nice. Well, we'll end it with one. I guess because you're with ZKHack. Like, if I wanted to, as now, get started as a, I think I have a great application use case, right? And I go to see maybe ZKHack or even just generally, if I start Googling ZK, and I'm introduced with all of these tools, so all the developer tools, the DSLs. Like, how do you help people navigate that? Like, how would you give someone who has Web3 maybe background experience, but now wants to do something with ZK? How do they navigate this whole ecosystem that's continuing to grow?
So, I mean, I would say, join the Discord and talk to people because everyone is a bit different. Different needs, how you learn.
Which the ZKHack Discord.
And we do have ZKHack Discord. So our website is zkhack.dev.
Okay.
From there, you kind of get access to all the material that we've been producing, all the articles about our previous hackathons, also the Discord invite to our Discord,
Nice.
which is where you want to be if you want to do ZK, to be fair. Because whether you're a beginner or even like a bit advanced in your either a computer science journey or cryptography, you will have people who can help you. And I would say, going to hack, if you want to build an app, well, go to ZK Hack Montreal next month.
Yeah, yeah.
And talk to people.
Take the train.
Or the plane.
Yeah.
But talking to people is the best way, to make your idea mature, seeing what can be done, and especially in this environment, like in a hackathon, you have people doing the same thing. So that's who you want to exchange with, and asking questions, and actually try to make it a reality. But that's what's fun with hackathons, right?
Yeah.
You make your dreams come true.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure, Gaylord.
Yeah.
I don't know how to end this. We can't cheers the waffles, or would we feed each other the waffles? I don't know. I didn't think this went through, but it's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
and everyone get building on ZK Hack, ZK, all the ZK tools out there.
Exactly. And thanks for the waffles.
Yeah, perfect.